We have Misery Lake by blackbear. 6 songs, 18 minutes long and 18 seconds long. It's an EP. Blackbear is kind of like blown up by being in like a lot of different
Hmm.
features and a lot of different things. He's got kind of this very like pop croony voice that's a throwback to a little bit of like grunge and like turn of the century like alt rock pop. There's some really good things that generally go together, but at their worst, and this is like a tough criticism because I think this is like more or less like pretty good. I think at its worst, it can sometimes like kind of drone and become its own thing where it sort of becomes like it sounds repetitive, right? Like it's a
Yes.
sound that sort of drones on. That can be like my most criticism of it. I'd definitely say like this is a project, 6 song project, so like you can go into it very quickly. The last 2 songs to me kind of sound like very similar parts to each other, not even in the way where like they flow in together. Like they're two very piece apart kind of songs. They can be piece apart songs, but they just like sound very similar. And then yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was gonna say too. Within there is some good stuff in this. Within like kind of the pop category and stuff, because I've heard of Black Bear and a lot of different features and good things here or there. And I mean, a lot of this we've kind of heard throughout the year. The kind of sound that's come out. But it's okay. It's nothing that's going to offend any of us when you're listening to it. But yeah, those last 2 songs, Emu featuring Travis Barker and then Bad Day, the last track, they're very very similar. It's like how shit. What album was it? Maybe 3 weeks ago, I said that the 2 songs were literally exactly the same. I cannot think of who that
I
off the
it's
top of
gonna
my
come to
head.
me in a moment. I'm also just looking at the podcast, but like continue. I know like we compared the two. It was Young Blue. I'm pretty
Young
sure.
Blue, there we go. Yeah, yeah, Young Blue. There's 2 tracks on Young Blue's album that were like almost verbatim the same. But this is the problem with this genre, and I think with a lot of people coming up through this trap pop, as I like to call it, because like at my worst, the second song kind of has like that trappish beat, and then more into a modular pop song. It can get very boring and lackluster, and just not very creative to me at its worst. But it's decent. His voice is fine, but there's a lot of other stuff that have been coming out lately that I will pay attention to a little bit more. If that makes sense. But it's okay. I think that's just me being harsh.
No, no, yeah. I think that's all like fair criticisms because like it's perfectly fine. Like I don't hate it. I think he's
Yeah,
like got
definitely not.
apparent talent and like the it's not like totally repetitive like lyrical content or whatever like that. But when you have a project, it's really interesting actually because when you have a project that's so dense, it's sort of something that you have to focus on is what kind of range is it giving you? Kind of the one of the great things about what I guess like I defiantly call a drop still is like you can get a lot of work done in a short amount of time as far as a project goes. Like you can show a lot of range, but here it seems like the range is sort of very limited. And at least you're doing
Exactly.
good stuff while you're in there. You got the string of features with Tate McRae, Sasha, Alex Sloan, and then Travis Barker. Again, I'm already not really like privy to the Travis Barker one, but the other ones, I think like "You Love You" is the really like nice sort of mix with the two artists kind of going together.
Yeah.
But
I
go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, for being how short it is, yeah, that was my big worry because it's only 18 minutes, and it felt very flat and stagnated for all of that. So I'm just interested to see if there's going to be more ideas, especially on an LP when you get to that 35, 40, or even longer minute range. What sounds are going to be on there? What's going to be like the entire idea? Because if it's just this like this EP 2, 3 times over again, then it's going to be extremely bland. So it'd be interesting to see what Black Bear can do, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Um, it's yeah. I feel like this review is short, but also this like album is short, and like it didn't give us like a lot to go off of. But like I know Black Bear's super talented, and when he's working with other artists who are in other genres, like you
Yes.
can see that talent like really play out. I just know that there are people who do this trap and B thing within their own artists. Like we point to Slick Slack, a Black with a Six, like all the time because like he like really has been one of the artists I think on the male side who has nailed that trap and B sound pretty early
Yes.
on too. I was listening to East Atlanta
Yep.
Sand again the other day, which came out in 2018, I remember. And like it still slaps. It's still very very good. Longer project, of course, but there's and I think we can maybe even talk about this a little bit later too. That there's a way to do this kind of thing and still have a lot of range with it.
Yes.
That being said, arbitrary scale this week. We do arbitrary scale as an Audioface because the review we did is the review we did. And there's your answer for how we thought about it. And if you want to give us a scale, fine, we'll give you a scale, but we're not going to work hard on it. This year, it's going to be the Mr. Rogers to WAP scale, which we came up with.
Music videos, which we came up with at the beginning of the podcast. So,
yeah, it's a scale for how raunchy your music video is, which I guess... I this is a weird scale because I think we might have to use this going forward, but just describing music videos. But we can use it one time to describe album reviews. We could probably do that because usually we don't recycle arbitrary scales. Anyways,
I'm down with it.
On a scale of Mr. Watchers, I can do ours now. We're back to like fucking year one speech. Christ, tragic. This is on a scale of Mr. Rogers to WAP. This is gonna be one of those like era music. I forget what it's called, but those it's called like paste something like rap album covers where it's like the bunch of like blinged out and shit where it's just like all of those like the music videos from that era.
Jones or whatever.
Exactly. Like the music videos from that era, which used to be like, oh my god, can you believe they're showing themselves like they're shaking so much butt in these music videos.
Meanwhile, then I Get the Bag comes out and you're just like, well, this is normal everyday Tuesday.
Like on the adjusted scale now because climate change has just made the ass videos more worse. I'm kidding. I don't know where I'm going with that one. It's like nothing anymore. Essentially, what we're saying. It's barely anything. But.
For me, this is like a Three Doors Down music video from like 2005 era of just all of these alt rock bands / like MCR and them all making like the same music video over and over again.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's what it is.